RMJ movie reviews back again, and I'm coming with an on-the-fly movie review of uh, Nate Parker's film, "The Birth of a Nation." Um, wow, "The Birth of a Nation." Um, I had heard about this film months ago. I heard about it months ago, and I heard about kind of the surrounding controversy of the actor director Nate Parker. Um, I've seen Nate Parker around, and I think he's a very strong actor. I mean, I think he's a very very strong deep actor. And I had heard little things about this film. For me to be perfectly honest and frank, I tend to stay away from these films. You know, I'm kind of gonna do kind of a double side here of saying personal feelings about how I feel about the film as a man of color, as a black man of color, and then I'm gonna talk about just the film itself. So I'm gonna be kind of intertwining the two as I review it. And going back to why I tend to stay away from these sort of films, I know I was talking with one of my buddies about it, and my buddy says it really pisses him off watching these kind of films. He just really gets angry, and he doesn't like to watch them. I would concur. I get very angry too when I watch them. My anger is a little bit more different in the way this particular person expressed their anger, and I'll just leave it at that. For me in particular, these movies always really leave me with a very deep sense of sadness. Not only for the way, my ancestors were treated and what happened back in those days, and just the brutality and the depravity, just sick, but it makes me feel even sadder when I see kind of strands of that stuff in society today. And that's what really pisses me off, even so much more than the stuff that happened then. Not saying that one is better than the other, but it's the fact that this type of thing has been going on for generations and generations and generations and generations. It's sickening to me. And then again, I'm not trying to say, we should live in a fantasy world where we ignore this stuff. No. We do need to face it. We do need to be real about the stuff that happened back then and the stuff that's going on today. It's kind of hard to talk about this kind of stuff, but I think we do need to be real about it. Me personally, you all know that I'm really fantasy film oriented. I can't get my words together. Fantasy film, that's kind of my genre, the action and the horror and all that kind of stuff. I love that kind of stuff. But I am all up for straight up raw, real filmmaking about serious issues, about real stuff that happens in the world. And the movies doesn't always have to be about just letting your mind relax because you got a day off work or whatever. Sometimes you need to go to the movies to see some real stuff to, really hit home here and up here. I thought the film was very well done. From what I understand, this is Nate Parker's. I think he funded this on his own. And when I mean he funded it on his own, I don't mean like all of it 100% went out of his own pocket. But from what I understand, he some kind of way he found the funding and funded it on his own or whatever. But this is his first directed film, and I thought he did a fantastic job. It was very well done. As you know, Birth of a Nation tells the story of Nat Turner, who led a insurrection against the slave masters, the slave owners, and basically he gave back a little taste of their own medicine. Gave back some brutality, slaughtered slave masters and women and children all alike. The film doesn't so much show them brutalizing the women, the white women and children of the slave masters, and babies too, from what I heard. I had never known that before. Because as when I was in elementary school, they never really taught us deeply about Nat Turner. I was always familiar with Nat Turner, but they didn't give us the nitty gritty. You know, in school they basically told us Martin Luther King, civil rights movement, and then kind of the slavery and stuff I had actually seen on films during the 80s, because I think there was an Uncle Tom Cabins movie that was made for the Showtime cable network that starred Avery Brooks back in the day, of Spencer for Hire fame and Star Trek Deep Space Nine fame. Samuel Jackson actually made an appearance in that film too. Tons of other really solid stage and screen black actors who were in that film. You know, and I've been watching these kind of sort of films for years. Those are my earliest memories of these sort of films. Definitely, for sure, Uncle Tom's Cabin, that film I just mentioned, and Mississippi Burning, which is more of a police procedural side of the issue of racism and you know, serial killings of black people down south in Mississippi. Yeah, back to what I was saying. I did not realize that they had actually slaughtered women and children and babies as well along with it. This movie only really shows the main bad guys side of it as presented in the film for dramatic license. But it was a very well done film. I liked how they really played a lot with the imagery. You know, so there's kind of some surreal little moments sprinkled in without there. You know, visual storytelling tools. Very well done. This is not a very music-heavy film, but it sprinkles music throughout here and there. With this being a story about Nat Turner and slavery, you know, of course, we're going to have to, you know, I'm going to talk about the brutality in the film. You know, this is not a Halloween month movie review. This is on the fly movie review that I've done. But I tell you for damn sure, this movie does qualify as a horror film, reality-based horror film, because some of the atrocities of slavery as depicted in this film are quite horrific. I'm going to tell you one act right now. We know the usual. We know about, you know, the rapings that went on of the slave women by the masters, and who else. We already know about the beatings and all of that. One scene in particular that really was messed up was they had two slaves locked in a sweatbox. One of the slaves did not. He refused to eat. I'm assuming he was being uncooperative. I'd have to watch the film again, because the film is, you know, these films are heavy, so I kind of have to rewind it in my head. But either way, he refused to eat. They knocked out all his teeth and put a funnel in his mouth and fed him the slop down the throat as he kind of regurgitated and vomited it all back up with blood and stuff coming out of his mouth. That just, and I understand that sometimes, you know, people should be like, oh, well, you should review the video, but it's always like, the acts of atrocity are obviously the things that really stand out in your head, no matter how much really good music, really good cinematography, I guess you could go far as say beautiful moments with the hugging and the kissing and all that. The brutality is always going to stand out because it was a brutal time. And I will say that's the way it should have been presented. It was presented exactly the way it should have been presented. It shouldn't have been soft-pedaled. I mean, I know a lot of people gave Mel Gibson crap about Passion of the Christ, and it was too violent. But, you know, in my perspective, seeing these police videos of people being blown away on camera and stuff, and guys running and they aim and shoot them, I mean, it should be presented for what it is in real life, which is brutal and it's ugly. So the fact that that scene was done the way it was, I was totally fine with it being presented for what it was, because it was meant to revolt and disgust you, and that's exactly what it did with me when I watched it. It was very, very tough. But I think the film was very well done. Of course, they had to, make some slave master characters into kind of main protagonists, sort of kind of characters. That's the way so the audience can identify who's the worst of the worst. I'm okay with that dramatic license side of it. I will say overall it was very solid and it was very well done. Now would I say I can't say that I felt moved by it. And I can't say that the film totally brought me to tears either. That's not saying anything's good or bad. That's just saying the way I reacted to it. But I will say it's just these films. They're just heavy films. They're heavy films. It was a tough movie. I wouldn't go so far as to say that I can't say I liked it. You know what I mean? And I don't mean like I liked it like oh, I liked it, It's just that it's so tough and it's such a rough subject. I can't say that I like it. But I will say that it was very solid. It was very well done. All the actors involved dug deep to do a film like this because for me personally, I'm just in the beginning of my acting. I don't know if I'd be ready for a film with this subject matter that's that heavy. But then again, maybe that's what adds to the realism when actors do films like this, is the fact that this is real life hurtful stuff and they just jump in and just do it. So maybe that's what adds to it. But it was a heavy film. I probably won't ever watch it again. I probably won't. I've never seen 12 Years a Slave, but I heard that was a lot worse. I haven't seen that film yet, but I think I'll probably end up checking it out just because I got to finish kind of some films I need to catch up on. So I think I'll go check that out at some point. They probably got it at Redbox now. Would I recommend the film? It's a tough one. I'd recommend it for a dramatic historical lesson. For those who are not familiar with Nat Turner or the story of slavery. For those of us who are older, I don't know if we really need to watch it, but for young kids who are really coming up, of all colors and creeds, they should watch it because they need to learn. For those of us who are older, I don't really necessarily know if we need to see it, and particularly even older folks who are like my parents' age, 60s and 70s. I don't even know if they got to see it, but that's anybody's choice if you want to watch it. Also, I do want to say that, Nate Parker, he does give some little, I don't know if they're homages or you could call it stealing or whatever, but there's little things in there. There's a little homage to Glory with Denzel and a tear down his eye. Of course, I saw Glory on video when I was like 9, and when they were whipping the hell out of Denzel, man, and that tear came down his eye, I mean, that jacked me up. I still never forget that. And I think there's another scene where the guy, Andre Braugher, who Denzel and him kind of clashed in that movie, when he would cry in that movie, it was something about Andre Braugher crying in Glory when he's going to Matthew Broderick and he's like, I just want to thank you, and the tears coming down. That gets me every time, man. That and the stuff in Mississippi Burning, and some of the stuff in Rosewood just gets me every single time. Now, I didn't get those kind of feelings of like Andre Braugher or Mississippi Burning or Rosewood type of feeling. Like those movies would make me cry. I didn't get that here, but that's not taking anything away from it. It could just be that, I'm at an older age now when I've seen this film, and in light of what's going on now, just, man. But end of story. I'm rambling. I thought the film was very well done. It was very well directed. It was very well acted. The cinematography was good. The music was good. It was very solid. I just can't say that it was an enjoyable experience, filmmaking experience for me personally. I could do with this being the only time I ever saw it. Take that as you may. Thumbs up the video, subscribe to the channel, and share the video. And last thought, as far as the controversy of Nate Parker, I heard little details about what happened back in the day. You know, the only thing I can say is I hope it's not true. I really, 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 really hope that it was not a taking advantage. I really hope it wasn't the situation that's being presented. I really hope that it doesn't turn out to be true, because this guy this is some good work he did with this film. But if that really is true, it's a damn shame. RMJ Movie Reviews, I'm going to be back with kind of some more fun stuff to talk about, but that's my heavy review for the week. So RMJ Movie Review, I'll see you folks soon, okay?